Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of Colorado. Got another property in a very popular subdivision just north of Lathrop State Park. This is one we've listed a handful of properties in at this point, and they have all been scooped up rather quickly. So I would encourage you, if this is something that you're interested in, to act sooner rather than later. As you can see from the headline, it's got power, it's got underground utilities. What you don't see in the headline is that there is no HOA, no annual dues, and very light covenants, if any at all, realistically speaking. Additionally, of course, it's right by the lake. So, with all that said, guys, let's get to introing this property. This is reference number HFCO-2703, located as noted in Huerfano County, down in the south central portion of the state. This is a scooch more than 3 acres, 3.35 to be exact, in the Rio Cucharas subdivision. And as you saw up top, this 3 and roughly a third acre is priced at $14,000. If you come here on our listing page, as with all of our listings, we got GPS coordinates. Click any one of these to begin introducing yourself to the property, and it will bring it up on the Google Maps. So, in front of us, guys, we got the square-shaped state of Colorado right here. As you can see, this pin in the map down here signifies exactly where the property is, as noted, south central portion of the state. Just to give you guys a sense, if you know nothing about Colorado geography, you likely know Denver. Denver, of course, is up here. And if we right-click and measure distance, you can see that Denver is roughly about a 2.5-hour drive north. Of course, it's a pretty easy drive because it is here along I-25, which is very close to the subject property. Easy access to the highway, cutting north-south, not only through Colorado, but down south into nearby New Mexico. Additionally, Colorado Springs is up here about an hour and a half north of the subject property, and Pueblo, Colorado, about an hour north of the subject property. Of course, it's Colorado, so there's a lot to see and do no matter where you go, so you don't have to focus just on these 3 cities, but I do want to give you a sense of exactly how close you are to those places. Whatever the case, the subject property sits closest to Walsenburg, Colorado, right over here. If you go to the gallery on our listing page, you will see that we have got photos from the town of Walsenburg. This, of course, is a town of roughly about, I think, 6,000 people, something like that. A very small town in Colorado with a lot of rustic charm. This is the nearby lumber company. Nearest Walmart is in Trinidad, Colorado, roughly about 40 miles south, but my assumption is that if you come out here, you buy this land, you start building on it, most likely you're going to need to know where the nearest lumber store is, and that is where it is, thereby in nearby Walsenburg. Of course, as noted, Walmart about 40 minutes south. But here in Walsenburg, of course, you've got grocery stores, you've got just, general supply stores, things like that. There's a medical facilities nearby, schools, churches, so on and so forth. These are the photos from the town, guys, as noted, found in our gallery. Subject property, of course, is just a little bit west of Walsenburg, roughly about 5 minutes down the road here along the 160. Most notably, however, it sits just north of Lathrop State Park. Lathrop, of course, is a combination of 2 different lakes, the Horseshoe and the Martin Lake. And if you go back to the photo gallery on our listing page, you will see that we have boosted these images from their respective websites, where you can get an even better sense of exactly what is offered out there. This grid down here, this key right here with all the things that are available within this area includes such things as picnic area, tent camping, group camping, fishing access, playground, showers, laundry, birdwatch, hunting area, so on and so forth. There's also an RV camping area up in this region right here, and I believe there's a second one. Whatever the case, this area is generally RV friendly. Anyway, as we go through the photo gallery, guys, of course, we've got photos from the lakes out here. It should be noted, of course, this is a great recreation spot. Whether you got a boat, you got some jet skis, or you just want to come out here, rent them, and take them out to the lake. It should be noted, this is the part of the video where I pull up my list of fish and pretend like I know things about fishing. The lake, oh my God, guys, it's populated with so many great fish. Rainbow trout, walleye, catfish, bluegill, tiger, muskie, and the deceptively spelled crappie are all out here in this lake. 2 fish. Anyway, photographer was out here in the month of February, so of course it's a little bit cold, the imagery, and nobody's out here at the lake, but as you can imagine, this is a popular region, particularly in the spring and summer. Anyway, guys, let's go back to the map for a second here. So, as noted, the subject property sits just north of the lake up here. If we zoom in on the map, guys, you will see. So first off, this is a little confusing. I just want to say this. Here on Google Maps, it's identified as Cello Azui Drive, which sounds incorrect. But if you go to the actual street, you will see that they have Cielo Azul. Okay. So it's either blue sky or blue cello or something else. I don't know. Feel free in the YouTube comment section to mock my complete lack of knowledge in the Spanish language. But anyway, right here off of this road, the mysteriously named, we're going to call it Blue Sky Drive, okay? Mysteriously named Blue Sky Drive right here is where the subject property sits, just roughly a little bit west of Monte Negro Drive. Now, it should be noted, guys, if you look here on the map, you're seeing this kind of little pool of water, this body of water right here. This is not on the property. When our photographer was out there, he reported that that is sort of a dry, what I don't want to call it a lake bed, but a dry area. It's not actually, there's no water there. But even if there were, it's not on the subject property. Additionally, guys, I just want to zoom in a little bit right here. What you're going to see is that there is a utility easement going right up here along this way. Not sure if you can make it out in the video, but I encourage you guys to kind of scrutinize this on the map. Whatever the case, you can see that it goes this way. Should be noted that that utility easement runs along the western boundary of the property, which I'm going to show you in just a bit. Whatever the case, over here at the corner of Blue Sky Drive and Monte Negro Drive are, first of all, you've got the utilities at the lot line, number one, but number two, you've also got underground utilities in this region. It's kind of an odd thing where you see these throughout this subdivision. The subdivision, Rio Cucharas, occupies a lot of space out here, but as far as where underground utilities are located and where they are not, they're down here. We haven't seen them in other places, the sub. So this is an ideally located property, and of course, as you can see, you've got some neighbors over here, some built-up home sites pretty close to this region, probably because of the location of those utilities. So there's one, there's two, there's another one over there, so on and so forth. Let me direct your attention, guys, back to the photo gallery here. We will see not only the aforementioned underground utilities right here, but you can also get a sense of exactly how well maintained these roads are. I'm pretty sure these are county maintained roads. So of course, accessing the property is going to be easy in whatever kind of vehicle you have. Here again, underground utilities, Monte Negro Drive, so on and so forth. And then of course, underground telephone cable in this vicinity, warning. So the point is there are utilities out here. That's the point. Anyway, more of the road, and then this over here, I believe, is the access to the property specifically. Again, underground utilities, and you can see a little bit of that utility easement running along the western boundary of the property. This is it in telephoto view right here. And as you can see, it also connects out here to one of the nearby structures, one of the nearby developed home sites. Anyway, as we go through the photos, guys, we're going to get an excellent sense of the property. It should be noted, you know, a lot of these listings that we've had out here in this region, they have property boundary markers at them, which sort of, you know, negates the need for a survey, or at least it kind of gives you an excellent sense of where the property begins and ends. This one, according to our photographer, does not. This was the only kind of survey marker, boundary marker that he was able to find on the property. So just an FYI, this one is not as clearly staked out as others, but well, we'll leave it at that. Anyway, going through this, guys, more images of the land. As you can see, pretty flat, easy to build on, so on and so forth. Easy to build, easy to park on. This is an area, per Huerfano County land use guidelines, you can RV for up to 30 days out of the year. So it's a little bit RV friendly, etc. And of course, that's excellent when you're that close to the lake. You can go out in the summer and enjoy the region that way. I'm going to fast forward a little bit through the gallery here, guys, because there's some things I just want to show you down here at the end. Of course, as always, we've got the photos here of the nearby mountain ranges. When our photographer was out there, it had snowed in the higher elevations, and so you've got the nearby Spanish peaks, the Sangre De Cristos, and you can see exactly how majestic these things are. And of course, these are the kind of views you're going to be waking up to every day from this land. Additionally, guys, we've got the drone photos of the property. Now, you can kind of make out, when I keep saying that the utility easement is along the western boundary, but I'm saying the property is not on this kind of whatever puddle of water that appears on Google Maps. This is what the property is shaped like. And actually, I kind of skipped over it here, but here at the top of the gallery, we have first our Google Earth imagery to give you a sense of the size, shape, location of the property. And then we also have the plat map here. A lot of people like looking at these plat maps. A lot of people like to prove that we are not just making up geometric shapes on the map, and that is actually what the property is shaped like. You find a lot of properties in this region that have this kind of built-in, what I call a driveway, or this kind of narrow passage onto a kind of larger piece of land. Whatever the case, that is what the land is shaped like, and we've kind of replicated that here in the drone shots to give you a sense of exactly, you know, where this property is that you'd be purchasing. Anyway, with all that said, so a couple things. Number one, the utility easement running here along the western boundary of the property. That, of course, should make it easier and more affordable to ultimately get hooked up to the grid with whatever you elect to build or park on the land, number one. But the second thing that I want to show you in this photo is that Right here, you see this kind of trail that's cutting through the property right here. I just want to kind of talk about this. So there's legal easements, which would be named roads like Blue Sky Drive right here, which are the access to the property. And then there's what you encounter when a property hasn't been used or hasn't been occupied in a long time is some of the neighbors get on their dirt bikes and they just go wherever they want because no one's going to tell them no, and they cut out little trails. So there's legal easements, legal access to the property like this, and then there are illegal easements, I will term it, like this. The point is, if you do buy this property, you can fence off this whole thing right here and nobody can say anything to you because they weren't supposed to be driving on it in the first place, okay? But point being, there's legal easements, there's illegal easements. I just want to give you a sense, this cutout dirt road, this trail that you see going through here that actually looks like it's been trafficked by quite a few cars, it would be in your right to kind of block that off and to build within this land. So don't get too confused by the trail that's cutting through here. That's not supposed to be there. It just is because, again, nobody's used the property in a long time. Anyway, guys, of course, as we go through the photos, you not only get a sense of more the sort of size, shape, location of the property, but also, of course, the nearby surrounding region. You can see some of the developed home sites that are out here, etc., etc. Anyway, guys, I will let you review this on your own time. I will also point out to you we're going to have a drone video down here at the bottom of the page, which will also give you an excellent sense of the property, the terrain, the surroundings, etc. Now, a couple things I want to talk about. So as noted, this is located in the Rio Cucharas subdivision. This is phase 2 or unit 2, if you prefer. So Rio Cucharas has 3 units, okay? Unit 3 has a property owners association. Unit 3 has essentially annual dues. This property, however, is not in Unit 3. And in this bullet point right here up in the table, we cover this in a little more detail, but basically it just says Unit 2 is not subject to a homeowners association, a property owners association, or any annual dues, okay? Now, there are covenants and restrictions that were created with the land. If you click on this link right here, it's going to bring these up in a separate window, and it's going to show you exactly what these covenants and restrictions are. It should be noted, this thing was platted out many, many moons ago, decades back, and that's when these covenants and restrictions were created. And I think these probably apply more in the aforementioned Unit 3. I mean, first of all, they're pretty light to begin with. They're what we call sort of logical, reasonable, good neighbor covenants, like don't mine on the property, number 1. Number 2, these are for residential use, not business use. Et cetera, et cetera. These kind of talk about an architectural control committee that is no longer in existence or never did exist. So point is, with a lot of these covenants, these things are kind of outdated. You know, they run with the land, but no one's been enforcing them basically since the thing has been in existence. So you may want to familiarize yourself with them, but I wouldn't worry about them too much, okay? Anyway, guys. Also back here on the listing page, some things that I want to point out to you. So we have some notations here under the property specific notes. Earlier I had talked about RV usage for up to 30 days. This is actually an excerpt right here from the Huerfano County Land Use Ordinance. If you click on this, it's going to bring up this document, which talks about that. Additionally, if your aspiration is to buy a piece of land and build a tiny home on it, you should know that in Huerfano County, minimum square footage required, again, per the county land use guidelines, is 600 square feet. So depending on your definition of tiny, that may fit what you want to do. It may be too small, it may be too big. I don't know. But the point is that that's at least the rule that you should be aware of. Now, one other thing I want to talk about here, guys. So we sell a lot of land in New Mexico. This is usually difficult information to kind of get in New Mexico or to get a good sense of. Colorado, however, when it comes to something such as water table depth, when it comes to, hey, I'm going to buy this piece of land, how far down do I have to drill before I can get water? Is it even feasible for anyone with under $1 million to spend on it? I exaggerate, but you get the point. Anyway, the Colorado Division of Water Resources, we have a link to their website right here. The 5 nearest wells to this property are between 181 and 460 feet of depth. And if you click on this link, it's actually going to bring up their website right here. Yes, right here. And just to kind of show you how you can do this, how you can kind of poke around and do some of your own research on this, there's the well permit map viewer. Now, this is going to kind of come up slowly, so I may have to pause the video. But this is a pretty good interactive website that gives you a sense of exactly how many wells are drilled in the area, what the drill depth is, etc. So this little oddly shaped county right here is Los Animas, and if we zoom in on it, you can find Lathrop State Park right here. And if we zoom in just a little bit north of Lathrop, you will find, hang on, there we go. Okay, so this is where Monte Negro meets Blue Sky. I'm calling it Blue Sky Drive. And right here basically is where the subject property is. So if we come up here and we click on well application and final permits, see a bunch of green dots that appear on the map, and they will tell you essentially how far. Well, here, let me just click on one and I can show you what I'm talking about. So this is probably that trailer that we saw, that mobile home site that we've seen in one of the photos. They have a well depth of 181 feet. They are probably closest to the property. So that seems, to me, it seems pretty reasonable amount to have to drill down. Of course, talk to, anybody who's going to drill a well, don't call us. We don't know much about these things. You're going to get me on the phone and I'm going to flail, I'm sure. But talk to local well drillers. If you're serious about spending $14,000 on a property and probably another X thousand on getting a well put in, it's best to talk to the professionals. It's best to talk to the people who do that for a living, and they can give you a better sense of, north of Lathrop and Rio Cucharas, we could do it for X. It's going to cost you X amount per foot of drilling, and generally we don't go much further than, such and such. So those are the people to talk to. Whatever the case, you can click around on some of these green dots here, guys. This is the next closest well to the subject property, 460 feet depth. This is another one right here, very nearby, 445, so on and so forth. So if you continue to click on these green dots, it'll at least give you a sense, 420, of exactly how far down some of the closest neighbors had to drill. I would caution you, however, that when you see the lines kind of build up on the map, that means you're going a little bit higher elevation, and if you click on those green dots, of course, it's going to take a lot more to drill down to water. This one is 760 feet depth, etc. But the point is that this could be a helpful resource. This is a good tool to have on hand, so I like to make our potential buyers aware of this. By the by, guys, down here under county contact information, we have a couple things I want to make you aware of. Number one, San Isabel Electric is the electric company, the utility company that services this region. They would be responsible for that easement along the western end of the property with those power lines. If you have questions about what is this going to cost me to get hooked up to the grid, oh my God, I've already got the power on my property, but what does it actually take to, run a cable from the pole to the house or whatever I'm building? These are going to be the people you want to talk to. They can give you an excellent sense of cost, of logistics, of practicality. And of course, if you click that link down there, it's going to take you to their website. They have an office in nearby Walsenburg. They service that region, and they are probably intimately familiar with it. And of course, also reiterated down here, guys, is the aforementioned Colorado Division of Water Resources. We also have this helpful PDF, a beginner's guide to well permits in the state. Obviously, if you're going to come out there and drill a well, you're going to need to get permit, you're going to need to get water rights, and that all goes through this Colorado State office. Whatever the case, this is a helpful PDF that they provide on their website, and much like the maps of the lakes, we boosted this as well and linked it here on our site. Whatever the case, this is a good introduction to this sort of thing, and it gives you a sense of exactly everything you would need to know about this process if you are as unfamiliar with it as I am. Anyway, guys, if this is a property that interests you, if this is something that you want to purchase, you should be aware that this is something that we closed on and got title insurance with daughter abstract. When you get into this price point, this $10,000 plus price point, we always recommend to our buyers you should close on this through a title company. And of course, it's always good to use a title company that's already insured the property because theoretically, let me stress that word, theoretically, the process moves faster and it's cheaper, but theoretically faster. Anyway, guys, if you do want to begin on this process, just come here, click the Buy Now button. It's going to take you to a secure checkout page where we're going to ask you for a, let me stress this, guys, non-refundable earnest money deposit of $500. It's a $14,000 purchase. We're going to want all $14,000, but we ask for $500 just to kind of kick the process off. Basically, once you put that money down, you're going to enter some information right here, legal name for deed, all your contact information. Agree to the terms of service, which also talk about no refund. Click the next button, and on the next page, we will get your credit or debit card information for the $500. Now, to be clear, guys, as noted, this is something we're going to recommend you close on through a title company. If you're unfamiliar with that process, basically you put down $500 now. We draft a contract, you sign it, we submit it to the title company, and roughly a couple weeks later, let's say 21 to 30 days later, they're going to be finished, and they're going to request the remainder of the funds from you. Now, of course, the benefits here are a couple things. Number one, you're going to get title insurance with the property. If you do plan to build on this land, if you do plan to drill a well, it's going to cost a couple $1,000s. Most likely, a lot of people end up taking out loans from a bank, and a bank is not going to loan on a property that does not have title insurance. That's the first benefit. The second benefit, of course, is if you are squirrely about giving your money to strangers on the internet, completely understandable, particularly in this price range. So the benefit here is that the title company acts as a third-party intermediary to handle both the drawing up of the conveyance documents as well as your funds. And your funds, of course, are not released to us until such a time as we have deeded the property into your name. If you would like to learn more about this process, guys, we got a page on our website called How It Works, Buying From Us. Come here and then scroll down to the title escrow section. And here you will see reiterated basically what I just said. Put down the earnest money deposit, we draft a contract, we sign, you sign, we submit it to title. And if you want to know what that contract looks like in advance, what exactly we're going to be asking you to sign, just click this link right here and it's going to bring up a generic version of one of our standard contracts. As I am fond of saying in these videos, it's a pretty simple contract, pretty self-explanatory, one page for signatures. But if you got a lawyer friend or a relative who's a lawyer, you want him to look it over, be our guest, knock yourself out. We want you to be as comfortable with the process as is possible. Anyway, guys, with all that said, as noted, this is a pretty enviable property with the no HOA, no annual dues, very light covenants and restrictions if they're being enforced at all, which they're probably not. And in addition, power, underground utilities at the lot line and very, very close to the Lathrop State Park. Anyway, guys, I hope you like this property as much as I like it, and thanks for watching. We will see you in the next video.